Hey everybody, Don Georgievich here with Job Interview Tools. If you have a job interview coming up and you want to ace it, I'm going to give you 12 steps that are going to prepare you for your next job interview. No matter if it's over Skype or Zoom or it's just a one-on-one, it doesn't matter. When you can master these 12 steps that I'm going to walk you through, I guarantee without a doubt, you will be a top contender. You'll be in the top 2 or 3 candidates for any job that you interview. So if you want to be a top contender in your next interview, go ahead and tell me now by hitting the like button on this video, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell, and we'll dive right in. So first things first, as I walk you through these 12 steps of literally how to be the best candidate, truth is the most important thing. I want you to be truthful throughout the entire interview process. Don't lie, don't mislead, don't exaggerate, but be truthful. And as I go through these steps, if I tell you to do things that are not true for you or don't feel comfortable or don't feel right for you, then don't do them. I'm not telling you to lie, and I will never tell you to lie. I will always tell you things that have worked for me and have worked for my clients. If they don't feel right for you, then just don't do them, or take a version of them that does work for you and that you do feel comfortable with. Fair enough? Now, first things first, number 1, you must know your greatest strength. You must know your superpower. What are you better at doing than anybody else? So if this job is in accounting, what can you do in accounting that is better than anyone else? And if it's not better than anyone else, as good as the very best. Or if this job is in IT, what can you do well, better than anyone on IT? Do you know Unix better? Do you know Microsoft? Do you know how to fix computers? What specifically is your strength? If the job is in the medical field, what do you do better than anyone else? Or if it's a leadership position, how are you the greatest leader? What makes you the best? What makes you better than everybody else that you are competing for in this job? You must know this. To know this, maybe you don't know it before your interview, but I urge you to think about it. Have a conversation with yourself. Take a walk around the block. Walk in the park. Think about what you do that makes who you are, that makes you feel good inside, and that is clearly better than anyone else. All right, moving on here to number 2, you need to understand their problems. You need to know what the biggest challenges are in this position or that this company is facing. I mean, after all, they are hiring you to solve problems. I mean, why else would they hire you? And those could be customer service problems, those could be engineering problems, those could be financial problems, sales problems, could be anything. You need to understand why they're hiring you and what those problems are. Now, maybe you don't know. I mean, maybe you just looked at the job description, you don't know. Well, read through the job description very carefully and look for areas of concern. What do you think their biggest problems are by reading the job description? Now, if you're still not getting an idea for that when you're in the interview, casually bring it up. Say, so what are some of the biggest challenges facing this position? And they'll tell you. And then what you want to do is you want to be a solution to their problems and show them how you can solve their problems and help them get what they want. And oftentimes you can do that by knowing what your superpower is, your greatest strength, and you'll be able to leverage your greatest strength to what their problems are to help them solve it. Kind of just all goes in a big circle there, right? So moving on to number 3. Now that you understand what their problems are, now you want to show them how you can be a solution to their problems. You want to talk about how you have been there before, how you have worked in the trenches in your past jobs. You want to show them how or why that you can solve their problems. Moving on to number 3. Now that you understand what their problems are, you want to talk about how you can be a solution to the problems. You want to talk about how you have worked on things before, the exact same problems or similar problems. This will show them that you understand the challenges that they are facing, and then how you can be a solution to them. You want to talk about how you have done similar things, how you've worked on similar assignments, projects, engineering projects, IT projects, accounting projects, finance, whatever it is. You want to talk about what you have done before that's related to what their needs are. This is going to build rapport with them. This is going to show them that you have worked in the trenches before, and that you are the type of resourceful individual that can step into this role and help them solve their challenges, and not just today, but for tomorrow as well. Moving on to number 4, make the interview about them. Talk about the kinds of things that they are doing publicly and align with them. Talk about, why you're interested in that and what excites you about that. And working this job, what would fulfill you in doing the kinds of things that they're doing. I mean, by making the interview about them, you make them feel important. You talk about them, they get excited about that. If you just talk about you the whole time, they're really not going to hear it. You want to talk about them, and that's going to get them excited about you, and that's going to build rapport with them, and you'll go much farther in the process. They will eventually start to really like you because you sound like them. All right, moving on to number 5. Ask them questions that shows that you understand them. You don't want to ask them just any kind of question. You want to ask them questions that are specific about the company, specific about the role, specific about what they're doing, what their expectations are for the role. You want to ask very targeted and focused questions that show them that you understand them and you understand their needs. I mean, think about this for a second. If you were interviewing 2 people for this position, and you ask both of them, why do you want this job? And the first person says, well, I need a job, I need the money. And the second person went on to say how they would do the job, how they've done it before. They would talk about the details of what excites them about this type of work. They would express that this is the kinds of stuff that I love doing. And they would go on and on and on and tell you about why you should hire them. So in the end, you've got one person who says, I want the job, I need the job, and the other person says, this is what I do, this is who I am, this is what I love doing, and here's how I would do it. Who are you going to hire? Exactly, that's what I thought. And that's why you want to ask them questions that show you understand them, because that's who they're going to hire. They're going to hire the person who understands their needs the best. All right, let's move on to number 6. And this one ties back in to number 5. Share with them why you want the job. Why is it important to you that, you work at, let's say, Google or Facebook or the Ford Motor Company? I mean, maybe you have an interview with the Ford Motor Company. Why do you want to work there? What interests you about it? Are you an automobile fanatic? Maybe so. Maybe if you work at Google, you want a job there. Maybe you are a programming fanatic, or maybe you're an advertising fanatic, or maybe if you work at a game company, you're just fanatical about games, or maybe if you work in the healthcare field, you're just crazy about helping other people. You love helping other people in need, whatever it is. Maybe you're an accountant, and what excites you about that? Maybe it's the numbers. Maybe it's running the calculations in your head. Maybe it's looking at all the graphs and the charts and making predictions. Share with them why you want this job. That is so important, because employers don't want to hire people who the job isn't going to serve them as well. I mean, some people think that they're just this inhumane corporation, but they're not. They want to hire people who this job is going to fulfill them. It has to meet their needs as well. The job has to meet the needs of the employer and the company, and it has to meet the needs of the individual. If it doesn't meet the needs of you, then you're going to leave. You're only going to work that job for 6 months, maybe a year, and then you're going to get out. And employers know this. So that's why they want to find out if this job meets your fundamental needs and if you are aligned for it. So that's why you want to share with them why you want it. Why is it important to you? Don't just tell them I need a job, I need the money. Yeah, we all do that. That's the very basic level for any position. But why do you really want it? Let them know. Let them feel that. Let them understand that. All right, moving on here to, looks like number 7. When you're in the interview, now whether you're doing this over Skype, Zoom, or you're in a face-to-face, mirror them. And what I mean by that is mirror their body language. I mean, if they're constantly just sitting back in their chair, you might want to take a more relaxed approach. If they're up straight and they have very stern body language, mirror that as well. Because, I mean, if they're sitting up straight and they maintain good posture and you're just kind of sitting back, hunched over the whole time, that is, you're showing them that you are unlike them. You want to mirror them to show them that you are. Now, as far as speech goes, if they're really fast talkers, you might want to try to talk a little bit faster. But if they're a fast talker and you have a tendency to speak very slowly, that is going to drive them nuts. So you want to try to meet them, maybe halfway, maybe pick up your pace a little bit. Now, if you're a really fast talker and they're really slow talkers, you're going to drive them nuts. They're going to hear every other word that you say. So that's where you want to try to slow down your rate of speech. So you want to mirror. You want to mirror their body language. You want to mirror their vocal tones. You might even want to mirror some of their hand language, hand gestures. You want to mirror them to show them that you are like them. That's a way to build nonverbal rapport, and that's what a lot of the interview is. It's nonverbal. It's the expressions on our face, how we express our body language and our vocal tones, all those different things. All right, moving on here to number 8. Be humble. If there's something that you don't know, don't try to fake it. I mean, if they ask you a question about, how you've done something, or if you know a specific piece of software or hardware, whatever it is, a certain tool, and you don't know, just tell them, I haven't worked with that, but here's something that I have worked with that is very similar. You're always better off to not just end it and say, I don't know. Even if you don't know, you'd want to try to meet them halfway and come close to what they're looking for. That way, you're building rapport with them. It's okay to say, I don't know how to do something, but it's a lot better to say, I don't know how to do this, but I've done something that's very similar. And you'll go just so much farther in the interview when you try to at least meet them halfway on things. So be humble and show humility in the interview. And these subtle qualities are going to show them that you are the type of genuine, honest, decent person that they do want to hire. All right, let's move on here to number 9. Be clear about what you want. So when they ask you why you want this job, you want to be crystal clear about what this job is going to do for you, how this job is going to fulfill you. At the end of the day, after doing this job, it's going to make you feel a certain way. And whatever that is, I mean, it could be working in customer service. You say, you know what? I want this job because I love working with other people. I love getting on the phone and I love solving people's problems. I mean, whatever it is, you want to be very clear about what you want and why you're looking for another job. I mean, they're going to want to know, why are you leaving your current job to come here? And that's where you want to tell them, well, my current job isn't offering me these certain things over here, and these are the things that I'm looking for, and you guys are. And that's why I want to leave where I'm at, so I can come over here and get what I want. This is one of the few times you can really start talking about yourself and what you're looking for, and you can make it about you because they want to know. They want to know why you want this job. And that's your perfect opportunity to be more personal and straightforward and genuinely honest with them about what you are looking for specifically. All right, let's move on here to number 10. Give crystal clear, on-point answers to everything. Minimize your babbling as much as you can. I know we all have a tendency to just go on and on and on and ramble on endlessly in the interview, but usually that's because we're unsure of what we want to say and we're unsure of where we want the conversation to go. So I've got a great little formula. When they ask you a question, very quickly think about a time that you want to talk about and think about where you want to start the story. Think about immediately where you want to end the story. That way you create an end point. So now you've got a story in your head and you've got a starting point and an end point. And all this happens in just milliseconds in your mind. Then you go ahead and tell them the story. Now, the key thing here is having that end point in mind. That's your marker. That's to tell you to stop talking when you hit a certain point. That means everything that you told them up throughout the story is going to be enough information. Is it going to be the complete 100% full story? No, it's not. It's going to be the highlights of the story, but it's got an endpoint. So you talk about, a situation where, there was a time. Then you talk about what you did in that situation. And then you follow that up with what happened in the situation. And then you stop talking. Generally, you can answer any question within 30 to 45 seconds. Now, the shorter your answers, the better, because the more you talk and talk and talk, the harder it is for interviewers to comprehend everything that you're saying. When you talk for maybe, 30 to 40 seconds, it's a lot easier for the human mind to comprehend everything that you said. And in most cases, they're going to say, oh, that sounds great. And then they're going to move on. Or if they want clarification, they might ask you for some follow-up. But if you ramble on for 2 or 3 minutes endlessly about something, the human mind really just isn't capable of comprehending everything that you said the first time. Now, if you said it over and over and over again, yes, it would. But in the interview, that's not an option. You get to say things once. So minimize your babbling. Create a starting point and ending point for everything that you want to say. This will give you a target to hit in the when you answer the question, and you'll come out with shorter, on-point answers that make sense to anybody that you say them to. All right, let's move on to number 11. Now, what you want to do before any interview is go through and remember your past experiences and skills. This is one of the things that everybody fails to do. They just think that all that, past 5-10 years of experience, they're going to be able to just pull that out of their head at a moment's notice in any interview. But the problem is, everybody goes into the interview, and what happens? We're nervous. We're naturally nervous. We're in front of other people that we have never seen before. They're asking us questions we're not used to, and they're going to ask us questions about our past experience. Now, normally, if anybody asked us questions about our past experience, we might be able to pull out an answer. But in the heightened tensions of an interview, it's a lot harder to pull those things out. So what happens is people, our job candidates, get asked a question in the interview, and they have to think about it, and they got to scratch their head, and then they give a really long, rambling, babbling answer that goes on for 3 or 5 minutes, and the interviewer doesn't even know what they said. But had they taken the time before the interview, a couple days before the interview preferably, to go through the past experiences, write them out, get pen and paper, and write out all your experiences. Write out things that you've done, projects that you've worked on. Write out all the details. What this is going to do, this is going to rewrite that information in your mind. It's going to pull it from your long-term memory. It's going to move it into your short-term memory so that it's a lot easier and more fluid for you to talk about those experiences. And when they ask you a question, you'll be able to just rattle something off in 20 or 30 seconds. It'll be like it happened yesterday. It might have happened 5 years ago, but you took the time to remember and rewire and rewrite those experiences into your mind so that they're fresh, so that you can talk about them in a very succinct manner and sum up experiences that used to take you 5 minutes to discuss into 20 or 30 seconds. Now, you'll also be a lot fresher on the things that you've done. This will put you in a much stronger position to answer any of those questions that, well, you're just not prepared for, because that's going to happen. They're going to ask you questions. You're going to have no idea, never heard of a question like that before. But taking the time to go through and refresh and rewrite those experiences and move them from your long-term memory to your short-term memory is going to enable you to answer any type of question that they throw at you. Even if you have to struggle, they might have to see you think, but you'll still be able to give them a very focused answer that addresses the other question. All right, let's move on here to the next one. Be clear on why you want to leave your job. Now, if you're not working somewhere, then this one really doesn't apply. But if you are working somewhere and you want to go to another job, be clear on what that job isn't providing for you. Be clear about what you don't like about it, what it's not giving you, and what you are looking for in a new position. Now, a lot of times, the number one reason people leave their job is because, and this is statistically correct, is because they don't like the boss. They don't like the manager. And that's why they're leaving. But nobody ever wants to say, well, I don't like my boss. The reason they don't want to say that is because it makes you look bad, usually. I mean, because the reason you don't like your boss is probably subjective. I mean, there's something about them that maybe you don't like, but you know what? I bet you there's 10 other people in that company that do. Maybe they don't. I don't know. But usually, there's just something that you don't like about them, not that they're a bad boss. So if they ask you why you're leaving, I mean, you could say that, you don't really get along with your boss, but you want to say it in a way that you don't get along with them on a personal level. And you want to let them know that it doesn't affect your ability to do your job. But there are better reasons to discuss or to explain or express why you're leaving your job. But whatever your reason is, let them know that this job that you're at now isn't giving you what you need in your career and what you're looking for in a new position, because employers are smart. They're more than happy to hire you away from your old job and put you in a new job. But they want to make sure that this new job is going to meet your needs. They don't want to just take you out of there and put you over here and have you end up with the same problems that you had in your old job. And then in 6 months, you're going to be leaving and interviewing for jobs somewhere else. They don't want that. They want you there long term. So be very clear on what your old job isn't giving you and what this new job is going to give you. And you will make them feel, a lot better about bringing you on board. All right, let's move on to the last one here. This could be 12, 13, or 14. I don't know. I lost track. I said the top 12. But last one here is self-sabotage. And we all do this. And what I mean by this is there's usually something about quitting our job and taking on a new job that is fearful for us. Because we're taking on the unknown. We're starting a new job. We are moving into the unknown. And what happens is sometimes that there's something that makes us feel uneasy about this new job. And we might sabotage ourselves so that we don't get it. It sounds weird, doesn't it? It's like, I really need this job. I need the money. I need, whatever it is. But if there's something about this job that makes us, taking this job that makes us feel uncomfortable, we might say things in the interview that sabotage us from getting the job. And it could be anything. And it's usually a very subconscious thing. So before your interview, think about this position and what scares you the most. What scares you the most? I was just working with a client the other day, and he had been with a company for 14 years, and he wanted to leave. And he wanted to go on to a new position somewhere else. He wanted to leave because he didn't like his boss. But he was also fearful. He's like, you know what? I've been at this company for 14 years. I'm kind of afraid. Like, if I leave and I go here, I'm stepping into the unknown. Who's to say that they aren't going to terminate me in, 3 or 6 months? And I have a wife and kids and house and cars. So I have 14 years of stability, and I'm trading all that for the unknown. That made him very uneasy about this interview. And the past interviews that he's had before that, he failed every one of them. And he didn't fail them because he wasn't any good. He's top notch. He's like the best of the best. But he failed them because he was fearful. There was something about leaving his old job that made him fearful on taking on a new job. And so he sabotaged himself every single time. And we had a conversation, and we kind of figured this out, and we isolated this. We isolated what the problem was, and this is what I want you to do. Figure out what scares you the most about this position. Isolate that and minimize that threat and understand it. I do this all the time with people. I meet with them over Skype, and we talk about a particular job interview that they're going to be facing, and we discuss what they might do to sabotage themselves. So if you've been going on interview after interview after interview, and you're just not getting anywhere, and then you go through and you apply these 12 amazing steps to acing your interview, and you still don't get anywhere, and you're just stuck, And you want someone to just give you a look from outside. You want someone to help you see for yourself what you can't really see. Then I would encourage you to reach out to me. Go to jobinterviewtools.com/HPC. You can find out more about how you and me can meet over Skype, and we can discuss any job interview you have, your resume, what's troubling you. We can talk about questions and answers and how to shape your responses. We can do whatever you want to do. And I do this with people all over the world, not just in the United States, but I do it in Canada. I did South America. We do Australia, China, Singapore, Germany. No matter where you are in the world, you and I can meet over Skype, and we can get to the bottom of what is holding you back in your interview. But hopefully these 12 steps that I have covered with you today are going to help you unlock what has been holding you back in your interviews, and to find out why you've been getting close, but you're just not crossing the finish line and getting the job. Maybe you've been getting down to the wire. Maybe you've been getting down to the top 2 every single time and never getting anywhere. I mean, I recently had a client where, she, for the past 6 months, she was the best. She was just ace in her field. Every time for 6 months, she'd get down to the final 2, and they'd pick someone else. Final 2, someone else. Final 2, someone else. And she comes to me, she's like, Don, what is going on? I mean, I'm good at what I'm doing, and I get down to the final 2, and then I blow it. So again, we met over Skype, we worked on things, we figured out what was holding her back, and kind of just dialed in things, changed her approach, and then voila, in the next couple interviews, boom, she got the job. And sometimes that's just what people need, because you've been interviewing for job after job, and maybe you can't really see for yourself what is holding you back. And that's where a simple 1-hour coaching session with me or, any other coach can help you see things that you can't see for yourself. See what's holding you back. And so I would encourage you, if you're just stuck and these 12 steps are just, getting you close, but not knocking it out of the park and landing the job, reach out to me at jobinterviewtools.com/HPC, and we can go further. So that is all I have for you today. Now, before your next interview, in addition to mastering these 12 steps, you also need to master the top 10 questions. And you can grab these from jobinterviewtools.com. This is a quick and dirty 20, 30-page book that is going to walk you through the top 10 questions that you can expect to get asked on your interview. They're going to ask you, tell me about yourself. What are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? Why do you want to work here? Now, those are all key things that I talked about in these 12 steps, but this little guide here that you can download from jobinterviewtools.com/top10 is going to give you some examples of how people might answer those questions. And when you can master these top 10 questions in this little book that I'll give you for free, and everything in this video, master all of that, put it together, I guarantee you are going to be a top contender. You'll be in the final 2. Are you going to get the job? Who knows? That really is up to the employer. I can't tell them that, hey, Bob knows everything that I taught him, and you should hire him. It just doesn't work that way. You have to, in the end, sell them on why they should hire you. And I can only help you get there. I can only help you get to the final 2. The rest is up to you. So that is all I have for you today. I wish you the very best on your next interview, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye now.